So let's start our interview. And today we are having Bekhruz Akhmedov as a guest speaker to our, small finance club. And he's really experienced economist and founder of Finance Pro. And so, Bekhruz, welcome to our channel.
First of all, good evening, dear followers of FinEcon blog, colleagues, and people who are interested in finance and economics. And also, thank you, dear Beck, for inviting me to have a discussion for your blog. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate your efforts and every single word you're saying. Hope it's going to make some difference to our economy and financial literacy of the people. And so, first of all, Bekhruz, can you tell us about yourself so that people know who you are and about some details maybe you can share? Like,
Sure, of course. So my full name is Bekhruz Akhmedov, and I'm an economist with an experience in banking sphere, central banking, international cooperation, and financial literacy. Beside my career development, I also run finance-related blog, and it's called Finance Pro, where I post videos that can help increase people's financial literacy and knowledge. So I'm really passionate about financial literacy, sustainable development, and making complex economic topics are more accessible to the general public.
thanks. Your experience will be really appreciated and valuable to me and to others who are listening to this and who are going to listen to this. And I explored Finance Pro, and honestly, I didn't know that about it before. I haven't heard of it. And yeah, it's a really interesting project because I know that in our country, many people even don't know how to use bank account, how to transfer money to others. So I think this is a really good project. And what inspired you or what encouraged you to start Finance Pro? Can you share the story behind it? Thank you.
Well, that's a really good question. Actually, during my university years, I found economics to be a rather boring and difficult subject to understand. However, I later realized that the issue wasn't the subject itself, it was the way it was delivered. There is no such thing as a boring subject, only unengaging or unqualified teachers. And over time, I came to understand that a country's economic development largely depends on the financial literacy of its people. In a society where people don't understand how the economy functions, what income sources they can rely on, how to protect themselves financially, or where to invest, progress will always be slow. Such a nation is more likely to struggle with issues like unemployment and poverty. So, Finance Pro was born out of that desire to bridge the gap between complex financial concepts and everyday decision making. And also, I noticed that many people, even highly educated individuals, struggle to grasp basic economic principles. So, Finance Pro aims to simplify these ideas, provide practical insights, and empower individuals to take control of their financial futures. It's about making finance accessible, relatable, and actionable.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for the description. It's really informative. I understood now the motive behind it. I mean, behind the project, like helping people at least learn some of the basics of finance and economics and how it works. Since yeah, system seems complex and especially finance. And when I was studying, in finance especially, they use a lot of jargons and terminology. I don't know why, but if you really try to understand it, most of the things are so simple. And so, you know, for everyone, maybe, what do you think? What are some of the financial, or it can also be economics related terminologies or concepts that everyone should know about, but maybe they never heard of, but that's impacting their lives? Can you tell about such kind of terms if you have? Thank you.
Sure. So there are several key terms that everyone, regardless of profession, should be familiar with, especially in today's fast-changing economic environment. So a few essential ones include inflation. That's common case that our people face in today's world. So the rate at which the general level of prices for goods and services rises, eroding purchase power, I mean the inflation, is very important for understand to our population. And also interest rates, the cost of borrowing money or the return on savings. Most people think that central bank of Uzbekistan regularly adjusts the base rate to manage inflation and stabilize the economy. When the rate goes up, loans become more expensive, but savings become more attractive. So the interest rate is also an important thing to understand. Then I think the third can be GDP, so gross domestic product, a measure of the total economic output of a country. Is very important to understand because Uzbekistan's GDP growth has been steadily increasing due to reforms in various sectors like agriculture, energy, and manufacturing. So GDP plays also a very important role. Then I think for most people, it's very important to understand what is a fiscal policy because government decisions about spending and taxation, for example, Uzbekistan's recent reforms to reduce the shadow economy and introduce digital tax systems reflect how fiscal policy can shape a more transparent and efficient economy. In this case, fiscal policy is also very important. Then, following fiscal policy, I think it's important for people to understand the monetary policy as well, because actions taken by the central bank to control the money supply and interest rates plays a very important role in the economy. For example, in Uzbekistan, the central bank uses monetary policy tools to manage inflation and ensure financial stability, such as tightening the money supply when inflationary pressures rise. Then, finally, I think diversification is very important because spreading investments across different assets or factors to minimize risk. For individuals, this could mean not putting all their money into one bank or investment. Working at the capital market is also a good choice. So, understanding these terms helps people make more informed decisions about saving, investing, borrowing, and even choosing a career path. In a country like Uzbekistan, for example, where economic reforms are actively reshaping the financial landscape, having basic financial knowledge is no longer optional. It is kind of essential thing. So these above mentioned jargon terms are very popular used in daily life. It's very important to know about them for our nation.
Yeah, yeah. Even I learned a lot. I thought I knew some of them, but Now my ideas have become clear much more. But economics and finance are still complex. Maybe there is somebody who is about to start learning journey. Maybe it can be economics they want to learn or finance, and somebody else are listening to or who maybe will be listening to. What book or maybe books you can recommend to those who are starting, learning economics and finance, but they should not get bored once they start. Maybe it can be some informative at the same time interactive books.
To be honest, I'm not also a very keen person on books, but uh, still I prefer to learn a lot of information through online courses and in real life examples. But coming to book, I would recommend Economics in One Lesson by Henry Hazlitt. That's really fundamental book that helped me during my study years at university to understand the basics of economics. It's a timeless, easy to read book that introduces fundamental economic principles using real life examples. And also, after this talk, I can share this book with your followers if you want. Uh, for those who prefer digital resources, I would recommend IMF's Finance and Development magazine that provides real world analysis of macroeconomic trends in simple terms. And also, we have the World Bank's Open Data platform. Uh, it's a great for exploring real economic indicators globally. If you would like, for example, to make some research or writing a dissertation, that will be really good source of information where you can get a lot of data. And by the way, everybody knows about Han Academy's economics and finance section. Academy is a really good platform, perfect for beginners looking to watch short videos that break down topics like inflation, monetary policy, and markets. By the way, it's a free platform if it's still so. And finally, I would recommend that just follow Finance Pro because in videos where I post in my account in my blog, I try to simplify the terms and explain it to the public. But it's in Uzbek language, of course. If you prefer to learn in Uzbek language, the Finance Pro will be also a good choice. So these resources together can help anyone, regardless of background, build a strong, practical understanding of economics and how it applies to daily life and public policy. So these are my recommendations regarding the resources and books.
Yeah, thank you. And I really appreciate if you can share the book and we can share the book with others and other followers. So they might be learning from that book too. It's really cool. Yeah, I also believe so because I heard of it. And not many people in our country read books, and you also recommended other digital resources, which are really cool. And you know, how would you rate on a scale of 1 to 10 the financial literacy of people in Uzbekistan, or it can be also Central Asia, as an economist? How would you rate it?
Let's talk about Uzbekistan, not Central Asia, because regarding Central Asia, I'm not sure. But according to my experience and years of study, I can talk a little bit about Uzbekistan. For example, I would rate it around 4 or 5 out of 10. Uh, Even while there has been progress, especially among younger generations, many still lack essential knowledge on budgeting, saving, borrowing, and investing. Initiatives from the central bank and financial institutions are helping, of course, but more targeted education is needed in schools, workplaces, and digital platforms. And these are my recommendations. Also, the rate, at what rate I scale the financial literacy of Uzbekistan people.
Yeah, yeah. Especially when you go to far remote areas, you may even find people who does not have an access to even bank, digital bank or accounts. So they still use cash. And so what's one misconception or maybe misunderstanding? It can also be stereotype people have about how the financial system really works. Maybe they believe it works this way, but in reality, it's not that way. If you have examples, that would be also really great to describe and illustrate.
Wow, in this topic, I have a lot of examples. So, one widespread misconception is that central banks simply print money whenever they want, directly causing inflation or fixing economic problems instantly. So people think like that. But in reality, central banks, such as the Central Bank of Uzbekistan, for example, or the Federal Reserve of US, use indirect and carefully calibrated tools like interest rate adjustments, reserve requirements, and open market operations. And their main goals are to ensure the price stability, control inflation, and maintain a stable financial system, not to pump money into the economy freely. And maybe even a lot of people in Uzbekistan, if you talk about monetary policy, uh, don't know full information about the central bank and how it works. And here are some other common misconceptions. For example, uh, people think that banks store all deposits in full and don't lend them out. So many people assume that when they deposit money, it simply sits in a vault until withdrawn. In fact, banks operate on a fractional reserve system, meaning they keep only a portion of deposits and use the rest for loans. This process fuels credit growth and economic activity. Mostly deposited money, 10% out of that money, kept in bank, um, and the rest will be spread. The next misconception is debt is always bad. So some view all debt negatively, but when used wisely, such as for investment in education, housing, or businesses, debt can be a tool for growth. What matters is sustainability and responsible repayment. Um, but in this case, of course, people have to take into consideration their ability to pay that debt back. Next one can be the government can keep borrowing or spending without any consequences. Excessive government borrowing or unchecked spending may lead to debt crisis, inflation, or currency devaluation if not matched by economic output and fiscal discipline. And finally, I think that's common for Uzbekistan, but still, of course, this field is developing for recent years. It's Islamic finance, so many people think that Islamic finance means giving loans without any interest. In Uzbekistan, people believe that Islamic finance simply provides interest-free loans. This is a misunderstanding. While Islamic finance prohibits riba, usuri, or exploitative interest, it doesn't mean there is no cost or profit involved. Instead, financial institutions use profit-sharing models like mubaraha, leasing, ijarah, it's called, or cost plus sale agreements, murabaha, where the profit margin is agreed upon in advance. So there is still a return for the financier, but structured in a Sharia compliant way. So, understanding how these mechanisms work helps avoid false expectations and builds trust in alternative financial systems like Islamic banking.
Yeah, especially the last one has been really interesting. Yeah, people, I heard that they, as you described, they believe it's interest free, but yeah, they work in a way that they share the risk and the profit at the same time. And since you have um, expertise and experience in banking and economics career, you know, what are the skills that are most in demand these days in finance world or economics world? It can also be tech skills, or it can be other skills that you may mention from your perspective and experience too.
So, according to my experience and um according to view of my colleagues and people surrounding me, I can say that the top skills include below data analysis and proficiency in tools like Excel, Python, or RStudio. So, in many economic related jobs, these mostly three instruments are very required. It's in demand. Second one is understanding financial regulations and compliance. In most companies, finance, economic related companies, so understanding financial regulations plays a really important role. Then, communication skills, especially the ability to explain complex ideas clearly, because when you work with the management, your 200, 300 page analysis series will not be understandable for the management because they have a lot of work to do and they have to simply get what's going on and what to do. So here your communication skills and ability to explain the complex ideas, I mean, clearly and simply will play a really good role. And I think the next one is the risk management and financial modeling. Risk management can be helpful in financial institutions. For example, for recent years in Uzbekistan banks, um, risk managers are in demand. And the last one, in my opinion, is adaptability to technology such as fintech and blockchain applications. As we know, in the developing world, at the company where you are working, there can be need for fintech, uh, AI instruments. So it's better to understand how this works and how to work with them. So these skills are essential as finance becomes more digital, data driven, and globally integrated.
Yep. Thank you. I also been taking notes about the skills required. And so, what's your final advice to those listening to this interview and those who are about to start their journey in finance or economics career? What they should be expecting and your final advice to them. Thank you.
So my final advice to people who are starting their career in finance or economic related field is stay curious, be globally minded, and don't be afraid to ask questions. When you don't understand anything, it's okay. You have to ask always in details what to do because Without that, it can even lead to financial crisis. Build a strong foundation in both theory and practice. Understand how monetary policy and fiscal policy works, but also know how to analyze companies' balance sheets. That's very useful in almost every field. Try to participate in internship programs and have more discussions with teachers and experienced economists. According to my experience, for example, uh, before getting a job at a high-paid company, it was very useful for me to have an internship as the Minister of Finance and Economy, and also some several private finance-related firms. So we have to always try ourselves in different fields, and in this case, internship plays a very great role. And finally, get comfortable with people. Networking and communication are very important. It doesn't matter where do you work, but still you will work with people. And communication, networking is very important because in daily basis, uh, when you communicate with your colleagues, with the management, you have to be in a good relation because being in good relation, being one team is very important not only for your career development but the development of the company itself. So these are kind of simple and short advice for the followers, for the colleagues, and always uh, never stop learning because when you work, if your work kind of repeated work and the things that you do mostly repeats every day, you can kind of be tired from your work, and during that period it's very serious to be degraded. That's why you have to always be on the move, always develop your skills and learn a lot. Staying in one place is not good. You have to always move forward. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for your final words and advice. I really appreciate your time. Hope we can, at least to some extent, contribute to the financial literacy of people in our country and maybe in people in general. So thank you all for listening and who are going to listen. Hope you appreciated this podcast. I mean this interview. So stay tuned. We'll talk soon. Bye bye.
Thank you very much. Bye bye.